So I'm here today to answer a question that I don't think anybody has ever asked in the history of gaming, and that is, which is better, the Sears Tele-Games Video Arcade or the Atari 2600 video computer system? And while they aren't really any different at all on the inside, they play the exact same games, they look the exact same way when you plug them into a TV. There are some very key differences that I did want to sort of touch on so you can make a more informed decision when going out and purchasing either one of these two fine units. The first one, obviously, is that the Tele-Games looks much, much better with its dark walnut wood grain finish on the front, more mimicking the original Atari video computer system. It's a little darker finish than that one was, but I kind of like it because you can see here it works well with my kitchen table and all the other outdated furnishings in my apartment. The Atari the 2600. This is actually the first system to be called the 2600, of course. Does look pretty sharp with its all black, all plastic finish. It's more simple and kind of more mimics what consoles look like today. I mean, the Xbox 360, the Wii U, or Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and the Wii U, at least my Wii U, they're all just pretty much purely black. So this was kind of the trendsetter, but if it were up to me, every system would be required to at least have a little wood grain on it somewhere. So in that aspect, the Tele-Games wins quite handily. The other big difference you'll notice is that this is the Tele-Games has 6 switches on the front as opposed to 4 for the 2600, and they actually just did move them back. They're just little plastic knobs now that you kind of switch back and forth. They're not these full metal switches, which I like the ones on the Tele-Games a little better. They've just got more weight to them. It's like you're controlling a spaceship from like Star Trek or something, which is pretty awesome. And another thing about that too is the wording is a little different with the switches. On the 2600, they're referred to as difficulty, where you can select either expert or novice, or on the Tele-Games, they're referred to as skill, expert or novice. And being that they're right on the front, easily readable, it's kind of a good way to tell the person you're playing with. Say you're kicking the crap out of them at combat or something, and you can just sort of subtly tell them they suck by switching their skill to novice. I don't know, any system that allows you to shit talk right on the front of the console, gets a thumbs up in my book. The third way that it's a little different, and I think the Tele-Games has an advantage over the 2600, is that it weighs considerably more than the Atari 2600, and that can be useful when say your friend who has a television thinks he's so much better than you because he has the newer, bigger, better Intellivision. Well, you can send him a message by taking this heavy son of a bitch and lodging it right through his bedroom window or something. That's good for two reasons, because it tells him that Atari is clearly better, but you also get to go inside his house to get it back, and then you can play a little Intellivision on your way out. Because let's be honest, Intellivision's still great, even though Atari is clearly better. So in all of those respects, I'd say the Tele-Games clearly wins out between the two. I mean, obviously, functionality-wise, in terms of playing your games on it, there's not going to be any difference. But for the reasons I described, I think the Sears Tele-Games Video Arcade does hold its own a little better than the 2600. The one way I think it's utter shit, though, compared to the 2600, and I guess it's these cartridges will work on either one, so it doesn't really matter, but Sears did have their own brand of games that they put out, and they're the same games as the ones that were released for Atari, but they took all the cool artwork off the front of the cart and just replaced it with lame text. And what really confuses me is this version of Asteroids on the front of the box says 66 games, and on the cartridge it says 64. So you went into the store buying this thinking there were 66 whole games on this cartridge, which was bullshit to begin with. I mean, let's be honest. There's one game and minor variations. Regardless, you got home and saw there were only 64 versions on the cart. I would have been a little more than pissed off, given it does have the nice artwork on the front of the box, but when you put your Tele-Games cart in your console, and I don't know, it just doesn't look as cool as this one with this cool 1980s rock album inspired art on the front. I don't know why they made them any different. I don't see even the purpose of releasing games under their own Tele-Games label, but whatever. The whole thing is pointless to begin with, making a console and just selling the rights to Sears and having them rebrand it, even though it's the same fucking thing. I don't get it. But unfortunately, I don't have an original VCS to compare it to. Obviously, the Tele-Games and the original VCS are pretty similar, and I have to say, just because it's the original, has the Atari name on it, the original VCS would be a little better in that regard. Just a few other minor aesthetic things on the consoles I kind of wanted to touch on. They both do retain the grooving on the top of the console, which I think is really nice. It's, you know, nice. You can use it as like a coaster for your drinks, or I think it's a little more aerodynamic. That way, when you're cruising around on your motorcycle, you know, carrying around your Sears Tele-Games Video Arcade, looking for chicks. It'll just work a lot better that way. The increased amount of drag will keep you a little safer, and it looks way cooler anyways. So if you're looking to get the girls, obviously the Sears Tele-Games Video Arcade is the way to go. That's really all I got. If you have any other things you've noticed on differences between the systems, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And as always, head over to retrovolve.com. We have so much content planned for this week. It's insane. There's going to be lots of cool stuff coming from myself, Tim, and Josh, Manny, the rest of the Retrovolve staff. We're super pumped that you're checking out the site. We're super pumped to keep covering all these old retro cool video game things. And as always, you stay classic.